Jezebel, Jezebel. If ever the devil was born without a pair of horns, it was you, Jezebel, it was you.
And there we have Frankie Lane coming to us all the way from 1951 with his classic song Jezebel. And that's by way of introduction to my guests for this week on LGBTQ+life. It is none other than Galway's finest practitioners of the arts of drag kingdom, the Jezebel Jocks. They've got a fabulous event that's going to be taking place on the February bank holiday weekend, and they are going to tell us all about it now. And I am delighted to welcome back the cast of the Jezebel Jocks, who've got a fabulous new show coming up in early February. So I'll just go around, and I'm going to start with the new artist, which is Victor Complex. Welcome, Victor 1.
Hello, hello.
And then
the
slash lookalike artist up there is LaMinge, who we are welcoming back again. And last but by no means least is probably Judy. What's her name? Mary Poppins. Anyway, the world's
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews, the world's biggest fan of Julie Andrews, which of course is Victor Victoria themselves. So welcome all to LGBTQ+life in DublinCity-FM. I'm going to start with yourself, Victor Victoria. This is the third iteration of the Jezebel Jocks. How did the last one go? Because I was unable to get there. So how successful was that? Did it meet your expectations?
It surpassed our expectations, so it did. We had a full house again, sold out again, which was fantastic. We had more drag kings than ever, and what a success! We had 3 different acts got standing ovations at 3 different times during the show. Mm-hmm. It was powerful, and we had such a good time. We nearly, I think the audience obviously had a good time, and they were raving about it, and they were squealing with laughter at after to carry on, because of course it was a Halloween show. So we were all full of vamps and zombies and Draculas and vampires and a bit of the time warp and all of that kind of thing thrown in. So it was really good fun. We really, really enjoyed it so much. Yeah. And we had a couple of extra guests last time. And our newest member to the Jocks, Victor Complex, joined us for the first time that time, and brought great new energy to the stage and everything. It was wonderful. We enjoyed it so much. We were buzzing for 48 hours afterwards. I was still buzzing. I was still singing songs in my head. Yeah.
So tell me, was this you played the last time in the Rowing Club? Was that the first time you played that venue?
Yes, it was. It's a bigger venue, so we decided we sold out so quickly with the first venue, which was Oris Nagale, but it's a smaller venue. It's less than half the size. So we decided we would take a leap of faith and chance our arm and go for the larger venue. And wow, did it pay off. It was incredible. And we were able to put more into the show, and we were able to, pay some expenses to people and things like that as well. And it was a fantastic show, much bigger stage to work on, and a much better view for all the audience, because it's a completely different shape, different style venue. Mm-hmm. So the audience had a much better view, and because we got quite a bit of feedback the first time that some audience couldn't see us enough, and so now we don't have that problem any longer.
Okay, I'm going to go over to LaMinge, who was quite got a different aesthetic than the last time we saw. Before, you were more what I would call the 19th century gentleman in Paris, whereas now you're very much 1980s hard rock LA. Are you trying to appeal to, dare I say it, a different audience this time around, Gio?
Quite possibly, but Gio has many forms. He does take many forms, you know. So I can go from older 1920s gentleman, or I can move into the 1980s rock.
And I have to welcome Victor Complex to the show. A new guest on the show, always welcome. Victor, I should point out that Victor Complex, it's actually a psychological condition. It's not a sports arena.
Yes.
And I have to say, I love your look, because, dare I say it, it takes me back to when I was hippie aristocracy, and I used to hang around with many people who looked like yourself, some of whom were men.
Well, yes, I take a lot of inspiration from like a lot of very 80s and 90s and 2000s like men in rock and different things. So I love being able to have a very fun and playful way to express masculinity, and it's been such an honor to join the Jezebels. Like I unfortunately missed the first show. I was down with the little C at the time, so I wasn't able to go out. Um, and was so excited for the second one. And then they asked, like, I was excited to attend, and then got contacted to be like, "Do you want to come and perform?" And I nearly died.
Can I ask you, are you a Galwegian as well, or are you, dare I say it, brought in from elsewhere?
No, I am a Galwegian through and through. Like, don't tell my mother that, but I am a Galwegian.
Victoria, I mean, it seems to me that Galway is becoming almost an oasis for drag kings. I mean, you really are the Las Vegas of drag kings in Ireland. I mean, I don't know anywhere else that is doing it to the same either standard, intensity, or level. What's the secret there?
I don't know. Well, it's very new, and the Jezebel Jocks are very new. And this coming up performance next for Bridges Weekend will be our third show. So it's all very new, both to us at the moment in its current form. But of course, there have been Jezebel Jocks. There have been drag kings in Galway in the past, and there are drag kings all over the country: Dublin, Cork, Belfast, you name it. It's just that I think we just might be in a very special time at the moment, that the Jezebel Jocks, a handful of us coming out of COVID, we wanted to see more shows by women, for women, and non-binary people, and or anybody identifying as. And we decided we'd put together our own group, and this is it. And we just how will I put it, that the ball started rolling and the excitement started going, and as soon as we'd one show done, we were going, right, that worked, let's do another one, let's go bigger, let's go here. And everybody's coming and everybody's talking about it, and people are coming from Dublin and from the rest of the country to come and see the show. And it's got a phenomenal following already. And hopefully it's onward and upward.
Can I just go to a little bit of language with you, because you probably implied the term jocks as the American interpretation, which is sporty chaps or something of that nature, whereas most of my linguistic background comes from Australia, and jocks are actually men's underwear. So technically the Jezebel Jocks would be then slutty women in men's underwear.
Well, we because not everybody in the group identifies as woman, we're try not to use that, but it is a predominantly female and non-binary place to be in, I know. But yes, I preferred, when I was thinking of it, when we came up with this, it was partly Una, who says a big hello, by the way, and very thankful.
Hello, Una, we're loving you, to see you next couple of weeks' time.
Yes. But it was between, Una is really, really good at putting names on things. But there was 4 of us at the time jumbling around quite a few words and names. And somehow, and I'm not sure exactly who came up with which word, and we ended up putting them together. And jocks, when I say jocks, I think of that American
40 guys in college
who thinks he and that kind of thing, and it's a kind of a bravado term as well, because it's usually all talk and all so, and that's what it's all about. But if some people want to talk about colour jocks as well, that's fine. And when we speak about the other form of jocks, which is men's underwear, there are many women wear jocks anyway. They don't wear other types of women's underwear. And there's quite a few of the jocks would be inclined to wear jocks all the time, not just on stage. So whatever way you want to take the word, you take it, and we're happy with it.
Okay, well, we won't be brief about that. But anyway, I want to go over to Gio. Now, Gio, you've got a very striking look. As I said to you before we came on, it's almost like you're channeling Slash. Will we be seeing a different persona this time round than we might have seen in the previous shows?
Yes, you will be.
Uh,
Yeah, it will be quite different. Lots of wigs.
Will that
Different.
also be a different musical content as well? But would you perhaps be offering us some new musical ditties, as we say?
Well, normally now I like to choose something from the past and something from the present. So I will continue along that way again.
Mhm.
My one from the past, I don't know how you describe it, very fast paced.
Oh.
Is that what you'd say, Victoria? Very fast paced, one of them.
Yes, one is. Yeah.
And lots of crowd participation, I think, in that one.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you were perhaps one of the standing ovations the last time round, and I'm not using that in any crude sense of the word.
I have no idea. I don't think I noticed.
No, I have to come back to Victor Complex, because with the with the passing of Jeff Beck this week, I mean, Jeff was one of those from our era, and Jeff wouldn't have looked a million miles away from what you did in the time. So the aesthetic that you've got, is this a relatively fixed aesthetic, or like Gio, will you be back for the next performance as another character?
A little bit yes and a little bit no, because I do like, I feel like my facial structure kind of sticks like this, but I like to bring a lot of kind of like, for the last show I had more of a like skeleton kind of face on. I like to do kind of like characters and dress up
Like,
through my drag.
Yeah.
The Jolly Roger, always very good.
Yeah.
I have another more ethereal character that I'm hoping to bring to our upcoming show, because I'm like, with drag, like it's like being able to dress up on top of already dressing up. So that is a huge inspiration for me.
And which of us does not like to dress up? That's all I can say. Musically,
Exactly.
what sort of performance would you be bringing this time round? I mean, Gio said a little bit old, a little bit new. What can we expect from Victor Complex?
So I tend to do a lot of 2000s kind of rock and emo music. The band My Chemical Romance are a huge inspiration for me, and Jared Way is the perfect epitome of drag king if I have ever seen. And he is a huge inspiration for me. So gonna be sticking to my emo roots, and then throwing in some classic rock as well. Because quite similar to Gio, like a little bit of the not quite present, and then a little bit more further to the past, but definitely just keeping that very glamorous, like over the top rock and roll.
A bit of Pete Burns, perhaps.
Yeah, Pete Burns, like AC/DC, David Bowie, like something that's very much in those kind of wheelhouses.
Now you're making me feel young again. Isn't that good? Tell me, Victoria, a lot of the issue around, not an issue, but a lot of the talk around drag kings as opposed to drag queens is that most of the drag kings, there's a fixed gender there. Are there any trans drag kings, or is that an avenue you would like to invite people, or even to investigate at some stage down the track?
Yes, there absolutely are, and quite a few drag kings are trans. And in fact, we will have some trans drag king on our stage, and perhaps even Victor Complex might like to talk more about this. I think
yes, I am the resident trans. Hello.
Okay.
But like, as someone who is kind of non-binary, like I find It's such a comforting way to kind of play up my masculinity and kind of like, because I love being on stage and I've done different elements of kind of stage work over the years. But it would have been more kind of cabaret and burlesque. But I used to get like such anxiety from doing that. But since becoming a drag king and being able to kind of lean into this more masculine space, like I get the joy without the anxiety. So it's been really rewarding. And like so many of the drag king performers that I know across Ireland are trans and non-binary, and there's just like like sometimes I forget that there's cisgender people that do drag when I'm in my little bubble with my friends going like, oh yes, cis people also do drag. I forgot about that.
It's interesting
But
you should say that, because I mean I've had a lot of involvement, particularly from my time with Tenny around the trans world. And while I know a lot of people who are trans men, I don't really know any performers other than a couple who were in the bodybuilding and things like that. So next time round, if we get down there, you'll have to introduce me, because, as I say, all the drag kings I know would be probably at least gender female by birth, or at least female by assignment, rather than shall we say by choice, is the way I would like to put it. So,
yeah.
Joanne, what can I'm loving the look. Is yours a solo act this time round, or will you be in partnership with anybody?
It will be part solo and it will be in partnership with somebody. So I'm actually linking up with Ulick McGee.
Yeah. Oh, always a good friend of ours, Ulick, along with Pat McGowan.
So Ulick and I have a little something prepared.
Okay.
Which is great because we don't normally see Ulick that often. He makes small little appearances here and there, but he keeps the show running, you see. So.
Oh, well, that's Victoria, coming back to yourself, are all the acts, are they all Galwegians? Are they all local in that sense of the word? Or are you bringing in some, shall we say, some blow-ins, to use a phrase?
We've got quite a mixture going on. Yes, quite a lot of the resident drag kings of the Jezebel Jocks would be either Galwegians or are living in Galway for some time now. Like the likes of our slash lookalikes there, and but then there are quite a few. We have quite a few guests, and each show we have a couple of guests that aren't part of the core group and the jocks themselves and setting up organizing the whole gig. But there are some guests, and we have guests coming from a couple coming from Dublin, and one coming. The famous Kenny Todgers is coming from Kerry again.
Well, I did interview Tina D. Parton, and Tina was just effusive in her praise for Kenny Todgers. So what can I say? The word is getting out there.
It's Kenny something else. So they are, and also we have a couple of new guests this time as well, from various places. We had another new guest last time, Dan Singh from Kildare, and Dan went down very, very well and will be back again. And we have a couple of new guests that are going to be big surprises. And we also have an open mic slot. So this is a relatively new thing where we're giving drag kings a shot or a chance to kind of show themselves, if you like. And we're calling that our open mic slot. And it's a great way for them to step up onto the stage and try it out, and to be part of the group and get the support of the Jezebel Jocks and a wider audience and community as well.
So this time around, we expect that it's going to be at least as successful, if not more so. How are the tickets selling? Are there many left at this stage, or is it close to being a sellout?
It's not close to being a sellout yet. There are still tickets left at the moment. It might have been a little bit slower this time on account of Christmas and January. However, we want to give people a huge warning that our tickets, and especially Galway venues, they tend to sell out very, very quickly at the last moment. So in the last week, just before the show, it will no doubt sell out. That is what we're expecting, because that's what happened before, both times. So I would move fast if I were you. Do not leave it to the last minute, or you could be disappointed.
And what does the venue hold, just as a matter of interest?
It holds 120 seated.
Okay, so that's that is likely to sell out very quickly once it gets down there. As we say, gets closer to the date. Yeah.
We'd also like to let people know as well that all of the jocks and all of the drag kings on stage are not paid. Some of the guests, like I said earlier, come from other places. We pay their expenses getting there. But everybody, as you see on stage, is not getting paid. And it's a non-for-profit group because the bit of profit that we have at the end of each show will go towards the setting up of the next show and any other expenses, because there's quite a lot, and we try and add a little bit more to the decoration and the ambiance each time, and that involves a little bit of, putting money out. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by what we have up our sleeve this year, because this coming show on the 4th of February is, because it's Bridget's weekend, there's obviously a huge Bridget's theme going on there. But if you also, and thank you for putting our poster behind you there on the screen. It's wonderful. Anyway, what was I going to say?
Talking about the non-existent saint.
Yeah. So the theme, because it's Bridget, and we try not to use the expression Saint Bridget, because Bridget was an ancient deity long before Catholicism came along to Ireland. So we call it Bridget's weekend, not Saint Bridget's weekend. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually the way it's advertised in most places as well. But also, because of Bridget and because of her ancient Irish roots and connections, and because we love rock, we're calling this a pagan rock cabaret. And hence the Ulick LaMinge. Oh, no, sorry. All the names are getting completely mixed up in my head today. Going on in my head. Anyway, that's why you see the rock look being sported there. Yeah. There's going to be there's pagan shenanigans going on as well, and a wonderful mixture and array of entertainment.
Yeah. Well, I've got to go back to Gio, because Gio, just looking there now, there's the pagan element. I mean, there's a touch of Ozzy Osbourne there. Do you think any heads might be bitten off bats this time round, or?
No bats, maybe some fairies. Maybe some
bats.
Fairies. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what can I say? I mean, Galway is well known for its fairy rings, isn't it? So, all around. Coming back to the Victor Complex, I mean, from my experience back in the, particularly the rock business, I mean, performers, dare I say it, they usually have to beat off the admirers with a stick, and a big stick at that. What's your experience there? I mean, is coming out the stage door a bit fraught with trepidation, with all those people out there wanting to throw flowers and perhaps even their jocks at you?
It has been a wonderful surprise to be like, oh, hello. Because Victor can be very popular. But I feel like so much of my persona is also being so oblivious that it's like, oh, look at all these nice people. And then afterwards someone's like, oh, they were all like thirsting for you. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Look, just ask them to fill in your dance card and you won't go too far astray.
Yeah. It's just, you need to just like give me a little message to be like, this is a come on, by the way, how are you doing?
On that basis, is it a bit like Tom Jones that people throw their smalls at the stage and things like that, or is that very 70s?
Yeah, like I think there's a lot more kind of like playfulness than like lingering eye contact and winks and knowing looks shared across the room, so that anyone in the audience can feel like it's just me and them that's in the room. That would be the Victor Complex way of doing it.
Yeah. Coming back to Victor Victoria before we play out, your audience, is it mainly, dare I say it, LGBT women, or is it right across the spectrum? And dare I say it, you get chaps as well?
Yes, it is right across the spectrum, but I think, and from what we're seeing, it is predominantly women, and they're predominantly LGBT women, but there are straight women come along as well, friends and family and people like that who are supporting us, and or other people we know in the theatre business who just love a show. Doesn't matter who's on stage, they love a show. And then the men after that would be, they're usually trans men or LGBT men, or again, theatrical men that we know from, some of us have done other work in the theatre business here and there over the years. And so other theatre friends of ours are coming along to see the shows, and they're really enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully this time we'll get yourself and your lovely presence there.
Yeah. Well, I am very optimistic because I have, dare I say it, reserved a room at an affordable venue, dare I say it. Because my God, I can't believe how expensive Galway is, but there you go. I mean, it's certainly not designed to attract pensioners like myself, but what can you do? But nevertheless, we go that extra kilometre, as we say. But last but by no means least, I mean, Gio, when we spoke the last time, you were very much committed to this, shall we say, art form. Is that still the case? Do you see it developing, and do you see yourself continuing in this for many years to come?
That's the plan. I hope so. Because I think the Jocks will continue for quite some time, particularly with the ideas that float around with us. I'd say we're good for another 100 shows at this point, Victoria, are we?
Totally.
Easy. Yeah.
When we're all together, it's like the ideas are bouncing constantly. So there is a good number of years left in this show.
Yes. I believe as well that it not alone will it grow as it moves on, but it'll alter and change, and possibly the people performing and working behind the scenes will change and move and grow as it goes along. And it might become different entities of the Jezebel Jocks as it morphs and merges into fabulous new dragness and kingdoms, and it'll become its own thing, and it'll change, I'm reckoning, over the years. But so long as it still goes, that's the main thing.
Yeah. Last but by no means, well, a couple of things before we go. Do you always see it playing in Galway, or do you see it being a movable feast?
We definitely see it being, I wouldn't call it a movable feast, but we have, we're in talks at the moment, but it's still early days in talks about a drag, about taking it on a tour of Ireland. And we have a few locations in mind, but that is going to take considerable amount of money, whether it be fundraisers or grants, or just a lot of Galway shows to help put the money aside for the events, because taking it on tour, as you know how expensive Galway is to for accommodation when you booked for our show. So you can imagine if we have to go to other venues in Dublin, and they're shocking expensive, all of them. So we'll see, but we have notions of travel.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you need Victor Complex to start talking to all those people at the door who might have spare rooms, but that's it for another day.
Yeah.
Last but by no means least, tell everybody what's the date and where they can get tickets.
So you can get tickets on Eventbrite, or you can join our Facebook page, Jezebel Jocks, or you can find us on Instagram. And all of those places, you'll just look up Jezebel Jocks and you will find our information. If you want to receive the information by email, you just drop us a line. All the information is on those pages. But the date you're looking for is February the 4th of February, Bridget's Weekend, Galway, in the Rowing Club. Starts at 7. Doors open at 7. The show starts at 8. And we have 14, as of today, we have 14 drag kings are going to be on stage for the 4th of February. So you're in for some treats and some new experiences. So, and everything is on Eventbrite. Get your tickets on Eventbrite. They're €15 each.
So if you're up for a plethora of jokes, 4th of February in Galway is the place to be. Gio, Victor, thank you for your time today, and we look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
And thank you to LGBT Radio.